right? I was actually yelling out loud at the characters, and the book is just fun. Of the books I read in August. So yeah, have a look here at my August library page. It's pretty busy, right? 12 books, including Snap Out of It by Maddie Dawson, which is a reread from April because I just wanted to read it again. So, all right, while we're talking about Snap Out of It, let's start with Snap Out of It. All right, let me flip back to April. Here's my April page. And Snap Out of It. See, it's right here. See, 5 stars. And not just 5 stars, but it's a Book of the Year contender. And it has the potential to sweep every single category in my 2023 Figgy Awards. Look at this. Best main character, best supporting character, best meet cute, funniest scene, and even best poem, if you can believe that, which I hardly can, right? So you're asking, Viv, what's it about? Let me tell you, it's so good. So the main character is Billy, and she is a 60-year-old woman who gets together with her best friend one night, and they get drunk, and they decide to start this business where Billy dresses up in a giant rabbit costume, and she goes to people's houses and she gets them to get rid of all of the mementos and the things that they're holding on to that used to belong to their exes, or things that make them think about their exes, right? And things that are keeping people stuck in this like wallowing, woe is me, they broke up with me sort of funk, right? So she calls herself the Heartbreak Bunny, and her business like takes off because there's lots of heartbroken people in the world who are having a hard time letting go and moving on. So her business really like takes off after a video of her helping a client goes viral. And then she's invited to be on one of those morning shows after the host of the show walks in on the Heartbreak Bunny doing a spell to help the host's son get over his ex. So her business takes off. Business is booming, right? But at the same time, her daughter's life is like not booming. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but the daughter is like a social media influencer who is living her best life on Instagram, except her life sort of starts to maybe be like, I don't know, not so Instagrammable anymore. So you've got the daughter things happening, and you've got other things happening that maybe it turns out that the Heartbreak Bunny isn't as down on love as she wants everyone to think that she is. So yeah, there's like a whole cast of characters, and Billy is amazing, and the book is just fun, and it's funny, and you're not going to be able to stop smiling, and you're probably literally going to laugh out loud and have to stop reading because you can't stop chuckling, right? And if you're reading in public, while that's happening, people are going to be staring at you. But they're also going to be smiling at you because Maddie Dawson is making even the people who aren't reading her books feel happy. So do I recommend this book? Yes, I do. With all of my heart, I do. I I love this book. Read it, read it, read it, read it, read it. While we're on fun, funny, can't stop smiling kinds of books, let's talk about There's No Coming Back from This by Garvin. So this is Anne's newest book. It just came out over the summer, and I've been looking forward to reading it ever since Anne started talking about it on social media. And so when I ended up with nothing to read in the last week of August, I was like, I'm going to read Anne Garvin's newest book. So I did, and it was everything I wanted it to be. This book is about a woman named Poppy who hired an accountant to do her taxes, and the accountant never did the taxes and then ran off with the money, leaving Poppy high and dry with the IRS after her, right? So the IRS has basically frozen Poppy's bank account. They're demanding payment of back taxes and threatening to send Poppy off to prison, right? Because if you don't pay your taxes, it's a bad, bad thing. So Poppy sends her daughter off to New York to nanny for the summer while Poppy tries to figure out how she's going to pay the IRS back, how she's going to pay her daughter's nursing school tuition, and how she's going to avoid selling her home and all of her possessions to pay back the IRS, right? So she's at the airport dropping her daughter off, to catch the plane to New York, and she runs into an old boyfriend. And for whatever reason, she blurts out all of her troubles, and he's like, I've got a job for you in Hollywood, in the wardrobe department of a movie that I am producing, right? Job pays good. If you want it, it's yours. So Poppy wants it. She packs up her van and she drives across the country to work on this film set, right? And when she gets there, she realizes that the job is not what she thought it was. And that's all I'm going to say about what happens because I don't want to spoil anything. But I will say this. Along the way, Poppy comes to some really interesting realizations about herself and about her life and about what she wants her life to be. And even though I was sometimes frustrated with her for not seeing what was happening, I was never so frustrated that I wasn't totally rooting for her all the way. So if you want another fun, funny, can't stop smiling book to read, try this one. It's good. I totally recommend it. This Is How It Always Is by Garvin. Let's talk Hopeless, the series. I read the series because I'm doing an All by Colleen Hoover reading challenge this year. And I won't read them again, probably. I'm not going to say much about the series because I've got a whole video coming out with my thoughts on the whole series. And Tina at Tina Simeone and we did a buddy read and a discussion on the first book in the series, Hopeless. So I'm not going to go into these books in this video. Although, look here, all your perfects, 5 stars. How did this happen? I have no idea, but it happened, and I stand by it, right? It was definitely, for me, the best book of the bunch, and maybe the best Coho book that I've read so far. The rest of the series, I was just kind of meh. A book that I am not meh about is Lessons in Chemistry by Garmus. Clearly, I am not meh, right? I read it, then I read it again. It not only gets 5 stars from me, but look, best main character, 2 best supporting character Figgy Award nominations, right? Pretty good. So the main character, Elizabeth Zott, is a chemist in the early 1960s, right? At the beginning of the book, she's working in a lab where she seems to be the only woman working there who's not a secretary, other than the one HR lady who hates her. So, I mean, everyone at work hates her. They all look down on her because she's a woman and they are all of the opinion that women are inferior to men in basically every way that doesn't involve staying at home and taking care of the children. But there is one man at work who does not think that, and he is the brilliant, multiple Nobel Prize nominated scientist, Calvin Evans, right? So Calvin thinks Elizabeth is the bee's knees, and Elizabeth likes him too. And so they like bibbidi-bobbidi-boo into a relationship, but not marriage, because Elizabeth does not want to be Mrs. Calvin Evans, right? She wants to be Miss Elizabeth Zott for a lot of very good reasons. And so Elizabeth and Calvin decide to just be in love and not get married. Well, things happen that I'm not going to tell you, but the bibbidi-bobbidi-booing turns into a baby, which is not so cool with the men in the lab in the 1960s, as you can imagine. So what's a girl to do? Well, when her 3-year-old daughter keeps getting her lunch stolen at school, Elizabeth finds herself in a TV studio telling the little thief's father that he needs to pack his daughter nutritious lunches. And then the next thing you know, Elizabeth is the star of an afternoon cooking show that takes the world by storm, really. So I know you're like, I don't understand. A chemistry lab and the 1960s patriarchy sounds like a boring book. And then she becomes Julia Childs? Like, why would I read this book? Like, that's what I kind of thought when I read the blurb, but people were raving about it. And like when people are raving, I like to see what they're raving about. So I read it and now I am raving. From the first page, I knew I was going to love this book. It was the voice, right? The voice of the narrator was like witty and dry and sarcastic and direct and just like so much of why is the world this way? It's so dumb. Why is the world this way? And it's exactly the thoughts going through my mind as I'm reading what's happening to Elizabeth and the HR woman and the neighbor slash babysitter Harriet. And like even the 3-year-old Madeline, and maybe even the dog. This is another book with a talking, thinking dog. But anyway, I did not want to put this book down once I started it. And I didn't want it to end when it did, which is probably why I started reading it again from page 1, like almost immediately. So do I recommend this book? Yes, 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 yes. I wish everyone would read it. Do I think this book is book club worthy? Yes, 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 and yes. And I've got a video coming out where I'll tell you everything, including some of the things that I'd love to talk about with my book club or anyone else who's read the book. So if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and hit that little bell so you'll be notified when the Lessons in Chemistry book club video is available, right? Because if you are book clubbing or thinking of book clubbing Lessons in Chemistry, you won't want to miss it. Let's talk Give Me a Call and The Future of Us. I actually read The Future of Us first, so let's start with that one. Let's picture it. 1996, Facebook hasn't been invented yet, and people are really just starting to have computers in their home and email addresses. And AOL, remember AOL? They're giving away all those discs to get the 100 free hours of internet. Do you remember this? So the main characters in this book are 2 high school students, Josh and Emma. And Josh gets one of those AOL discs. He gives it to Emma and she downloads it to her computer. And when she goes to open it, she sees this thing called Facebook. And so when she opens that, she's like, what am I looking at? You know? And she thinks that somebody is pranking her because what she's looking at looks like it's a website with all of her info in it and a photo of her that is aged. So she looks like she's in her 30s instead of like 17. And it's saying all of these things about her future life, right? She thinks it's a prank. Turns out it's not a prank, and she is actually looking at her Facebook page from like 15 years into the future. And she's reading what future Emma is posting about future Emma's life. And she does not like what she sees in her future. So she starts doing things to change that future. And it works. But then she doesn't like that future. So she just keeps doing things and changing things. And you see throughout the book how the things that she does affect her future and the future of the people around her, right? And her friend Josh, it has the same sort of thing. So they're both sort of doing things that affect their future. So it's a fun premise, right? So then we've got Give Me a Call, which is a similar sort of book. So high school senior Debbie is at the mall and she accidentally drops her cell phone in the fountain. So like she wades in after it, but it's waterlogged and ruined, right? She's mashing all the numbers trying to get it to work, and it finally does call someone, but it calls Debbie, it calls herself 3.5 years in the past. So senior in high school Debbie calls freshman in high school Debbie. And once they get over the who is this, no, who is this, no, who is this, what the hell is happening part, right? And they realize that senior Debbie and freshman Debbie are actually talking on the phone. Senior Debbie sees this as her chance to change her life and make it better. So she starts telling freshman Debbie things to do, right, to make her life better. And freshman Debbie does them. And senior Debbie's life changes every time freshman Debbie does something. It's confusing, right? No. And so some of the things are like changes for the better, and some of them are changes for the worse. And it's all very strange because even though senior Debbie's life is changing, she only has her memories of the actual life that she lived, right? So she's constantly trying to figure out what is going on. And she's constantly trying to figure out, like, what should I tell freshman Debbie to do to make her life better? So this book also has like a super fun premise, right? So I like that premise. I like that idea. I like exploring like, what would you change if you could? If you had special knowledge and you could change something that, to make your life different and better, what would you do? Right? How would you use that special power? Or maybe you wouldn't use the special power. I don't know. But I like exploring that. And I like books that sort of explore that. And so when I read both of these books, I was super, super excited to see what would happen, right? What would they do? And I clearly thought that Give Me a Break did it better than The Future of Us, right? So Give Me a Break gets 5 stars. I loved Give Me a Break. Only 3 for The Future of Us. In The Future of Us, I just didn't think that Josh and Emma did anything interesting with the power they had to see and change the future. I thought they did stupid things, and the only thing they seemed interested in at all was trying to make it so that they like married the hot girl or the hot guy from their school. So it just seemed a bit silly to me. And yeah, I didn't think they did anything interesting with the premise of the book. So I was disappointed, actually. Just 3 stars for The Future of Us. Give Me a Break, on the other hand, I really liked Debbie, right? I liked senior in high school Debbie, and I liked freshman in high school Debbie. I liked them both a lot. And I liked how the premise of the book, what would you tell your younger self to do in order to try and change the direction of your life? I liked how it all played out. I was rooting for the main character. I was so curious how it was all going to end up. Like, I was page turning. I was curious. And I loved the way it ended up. The last chapter is like so good. It's so good. I really loved Give Me a Call. It was everything I hoped for when I started reading. When I even downloaded both of these books to my Kindle, I totally recommend it. Totally recommend Give Me a Call. But if your question is, would these be good books to read and discuss with your book club? My answer is also yes. Both of them would be good, I think, to read and discuss with your book club. And so I am putting together a separate book club to book club or not video for those books. So if you are curious about how you would book club The Future of Us and Give Me a Call, make sure that you've hit that notification bell so that you will be notified when my To Book Club or Not video comes out for Give Me a Call and The Future of Us. The next book is The Henna Artist by Alka Joshi. I read this book for my in-person book club last month. And while I didn't love the book, it certainly had things for us to discuss. It's about a woman in India who makes a living as a henna artist to like the elite upper echelon of Indian society in the years like right after their independence from Great Britain. The other thing she does besides the henna art is she sells these contraceptive sachets and herbal abortion teas. And she secretly sells them, right? Because it's super controversial. So the book is all about what it's like to live her life and navigate her world, and how she goes about trying to make a successful life for herself and for this long lost sister that she didn't know about, who just shows up unexpectedly and needs caring for, right? And that's all I'm going to say for now, because it's another August book that I've got a To Book Club or Not video coming out, where I'll give you more info on the kinds of things that you might talk about if you were going to book club this book. So make sure you've hit the notification bell if you are book clubbing or thinking about book clubbing The Henna Artist, because you don't want to miss that one either. Last book for today, Someone Else's Life by Liao Butler. So this one was a suspense, mystery, thriller kind of book, but not scary, like not really. Although most of the book does take place in the pitch dark during a superstorm, and the lights do go out, and there is a bit of running around outside in the woods. And so I can see how it could be scary, but I really felt more like tense than scared. And man, I definitely felt tense when all the action was going down. Look, I still feel tense, like just thinking about it, because even the end is maybe not the end, and that is making me a little bit tense. So this book is about a woman named Annie who has had like a rough go of it, right? She loses her business, she loses her dog, she loses her mother, and then her little boy is like the only witness to a terrible, traumatizing crime. And she's like, we got to get out of here. So she moves her husband and son into the guest house on her father's property in Hawaii. So they moved to Hawaii, and they're not there all that long when things start showing up from her other life. Things like the dog collar that she lost years and years ago for the dog that isn't alive anymore. And like a shirt, one of her son's shirts that had gone missing, like weird things like that. Things that she didn't remember seeing when she had packed up her house to move to Hawaii, but here they are. So she kind of feels like she might maybe be losing her mind a little bit. So one stormy night, she finds herself home alone. Her son is like up at the main house with his grandfather and aunt, and her husband is at work. And so she's like, I'm gonna have a glass of wine and relax. So as she's getting relaxed, the doorbell rings and she goes to answer it. And it's a woman who says her car is broken down and can she come in and wait out the storm until help arrives to fix her car, right? It's kind of scary outside. And Annie is like, okay, I mean, you don't seem like you're gonna murder me. So, okay, come on in, wait out the storm in here with me. So Serena comes in and she and Annie get to talking and they're getting along really well. And Annie is like, maybe this woman can be my friend, right? I don't have any friends here in Hawaii and I like this woman. We have so much in common. And so they're talking and talking and talking. And this is where I have to stop talking because this is where the mystery, suspense, thriller part comes in. It turns out Serena is not a stranger. She knows Annie and she's got something to tell Annie. And she's got a whole plan that she's trying to set into motion that affects both of their lives. Dun, 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 right? Cue the fight scene, the running around in the dark part, the tension, like all of it, right? I was riveted. I was actually yelling out loud at the characters. Like when you're watching a movie and the characters do something stupid and you're yelling, you're like, don't open that door, don't go outside, don't answer the phone. Like, you know, right? But then they go and they open the door and they answer the phone and then like they get killed or something, right? So I was doing that with this book. I was like yelling at Annie. A couple of times I was yelling at her. And I liked that the book made me do that, right? I liked that it engaged me. I liked that it made me feel like tense, the tension. But I only gave it 3.5 stars overall because at the end of the day, I really didn't understand why Annie was sitting there getting drunk and telling a stranger all of her secrets while the hair on the back of her neck was like sticking up. Like Annie knew something was off and it got too weird for me to think that Annie was just going to keep it going. It just seemed like unrealistic to me. So I just was like, And then the way Annie was like so worried about Serena at the end of the book, I was like, no, what are you doing? No. So all of my yelling was yelling at Annie. And while I like the fact that the book made me want to interact this way with the characters, I did not like the fact that even at the end of the book, like on the last page of the book, when everything's supposed to be sort of like resolved and tied up, right? The last page of the book, I'm still yelling and rolling my eyes at Annie because the things that she was doing and saying just seemed like ridiculous to me. Yeah. I think I wanted maybe a more heroic hero, or I wanted her to become a heroic, and she never became that. And also I think I was a little disappointed that the twist wasn't as, oh my God, I didn't see that coming, right, as I wanted it to be. So 3.5 stars for someone else's life. Don't forget, I've got book review and To Book Club or Not videos coming out on the Hopeless series, the Henna Artist, Lessons in Chemistry, Future of Us, and Give Me a Call. And as always, if I think a book is book club worthy, I'll definitely let you know in those videos what kinds of things you might want to talk about with your book club or with anyone else who's read the book. So, if you're thinking about reading or book clubbing any of those, make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell so you'll be notified when those videos come out. Don't worry, I've got you covered. We read different. By the way, if you want to check out more videos from the All by Colleen Hoover challenge, check out this playlist. And if you are book clubbing the octopus book, Remarkably Bright Creatures, check out this video with the 3 things I'd love to discuss with my book club after reading that. Thanks for watching. See you next time.